Good afternoon, class. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we are going to study one important concept of your Java. Okay, that is your thread. And then after I explain to you thread, we'll study about multi-threads. Okay. So when I was teaching you the um, various features of Java, I've told you about multi-threads then. Okay, and also told you that there will be one entire chapter dedicated to multi-threads. Okay, so now that is what we are going to discuss probably in this as well as in next lecture, because it's quite a huge topic, so it will take us like 4 lectures to complete the multi-threads. Okay, so now before I begin threads and multi-threads, give me if any good afternoon, everyone. So tell me, has anyone knows threads from before? आप लोगों को पता है? If you do not know, I will teach you like from the scratch कि क्या है. If you know, I'll dig into the bigger picture. Just give me quick yes or no. Do you know threads? Yes. You do not know thread? No. No. Okay. Thank you, Anita. Okay. No. Two no's. No. Okay. Sort of none. Okay. Others? Okay, I think. Okay, Shivangi, yes. Okay, Shivangi, can you tell me what is the idea that you know about thread? शिवांगी, आपको क्या पता है? Can you tell me? Shivangi, am I audible? You may unmute yourself. Whatever you know about thread, you may quickly give me an idea of that. शिवांगी, mic unmute करो. Why does it always happens with most of the students? Why does it always happens whenever I ask you a question, you just leave the meeting? Okay, guys, then we'll start with what is thread. Okay. Uh, whenever we write program, okay, whenever we write any program or the program that we have written so far, we can tell that that program is a thread. Okay. So why can we say so? Consider that there are different pearls. Okay, बहुत सारे मोतियां है. Just consider it. Okay. So now you wanted to present to your mother. You wanted to present to your mother a necklace. Okay, आपको अपने मॉम को एक नेकलेस प्रेजेंट करना था. And you want to present to her birthday a necklace made up of pearls. Okay, एक पर्ल का नेकलेस, मोती के हार आपको मम्मा को प्रेजेंट करना.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is it?
Ma'am, it's me. Call
शिवांगी.
me.
So अभी आपको मम्मा को you want to present a necklace, okay, made up of pearls. So you go to a market. Do you buy beads of pearls? Definitely no, right? You will buy a string. You will buy a string of pearls. You buy a string of pearl. एक string खरीदते हो आप, 1 string, 2 string, 3 string, whatever it is. And how are these individual beads of pearls strung together? By a thread. एक धागे से ये अलग अलग बीड को गूंद के बुन के नीट करके इसको एक नेकलेस बनाया जाता है. Okay, so now this is a one single thread. So this thread has different beads in it. Okay, so that exactly is your thread. A thread, okay, is one single program. For example, here you have a string. So if you want to add more string to this necklace, what do? You add more threads to it. आप और ज़्यादा thread add करोगे. But if you have only one string, that means this is one thread necklace. Similarly, when you write a program, if you have one sequential flow of the program, if you have one sequential flow, that means it starts from main and it executes line by line like this, then we call this program as a single threaded program. Why a single threaded program? Because just like this one single thread has different beads, similarly this one sequence flow of program has different lines of code. Okay, but on the contrary, if your program does not has just one single flow, but if it has multiple flow, if it has multiple flow at one time, then we call it as multi-threaded program. Just like the way instead of one single thread of pearl necklace, if you have multiple threads of pearls of necklace that you are buying, then we call it as multi-threaded pearl necklace. Similarly, instead of one single flow, if we have there are different blocks of program that executing simultaneously, then it is called as your multi-threaded program. Okay, so now what is a thread? A thread is similar to your program that has a single flow of control. It will have a beginning, okay, it will have a beginning, a body and an end, and it will execute the command sequentially. ये एक thread है. Okay, so now in short what you can say is threads in Java are subthread. ये एक बड़ा, this is one entire big program, but if you have sub programs of this big program, if you divide this entire huge program into sub programs, wherein the sub programs are executing simultaneously. If it's your regular program, then हर line one by one execute होता है, but this unlike that, if you have different blocks, let us say this is block 1, this is block 2, or sub program 1, sub program 2, and these two are executing at once simultaneously, if they are executing, then we call it as your multi-threaded program. There are multiple threads that are executing simultaneously. Okay, now your multi-thread program are called as lightweight program. Your multi-threaded programs are called as lightweight program. Listen to this very carefully, often asked in the various competitive exams. Your multi-thread programs are called as lightweight program. And आपको मैंने have I taught you operating system? ये पास्ट में था, फ्यूचर में है. ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम हमने पढ़ लिया है.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So in operating system, we spoke about multi-process. Okay, in operating system, we spoke about multiple process executing simultaneously. So when we have multiple process, what happens? We have different programs, program 1, program 2, executing simultaneously. When we have multiple thread, we have one program only. There is only one program, but the different parts of this program, different sub-program, let us say, sub-program of this program execute simultaneously. And because it is one single program, but different blocks are executing simultaneously, this is called as lightweight. And now multi-processing systems are called as heavyweight. heavyweight processes. It is called as lightweight threads. Okay, it is called as lightweight threads, lightweight processes. Multiprocessing are called as heavyweight threads, heavyweight process. Heavyweight बोला जाता है threads of process. Why? Because here we have different individual programs executing simultaneously. Here I have one single program, different blocks of programs are executing simultaneously. तो यहाँ पे एक प्रोसेस के अंदर बस एक ही प्रोग्राम है और अलग अलग इसी प्रोग्राम के अलग अलग हिस्सा साइमल्टेनियसली एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे प्रोग्राम ही अलग अलग है और अलग अलग प्रोग्राम के बीच में स्विचिंग हो रहा है. इफ यू रिमेंबर, कॉन्टेक्स्ट स्विचिंग हो रहा है. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज कॉल्ड एज योर हेवीवेट प्रोग्राम. Okay, so now the programs that we have done so far, okay, the programs that we have written so far is called as your single threaded program. Okay, those programs had main function. The execution starts from main function and it will go sequentially, so that means it has only one single thread. Now if we will explicitly create a thread in our program, अगर किसी भी ब्लॉक को हमने एक थ्रेड डिक्लेयर कर दिया, that means the moment you create one thread of your own in the program, that means the same moment it becomes multi-threaded. Why? One is the main by default, main the single thread, and two, you have created a thread of your own. So now you have more than one thread in your program, making your program as multi-threaded program. Okay, so now how does your multi-threading program runs? Let us say this is your main thread. Main function जिस class में है उसको हम main thread बोलते हैं. Okay, so this is your main thread, main method वाला module. Let me write down for your ease, main method वाला module. Okay, so let us say you have created 3 threads. Thread A, you have created another thread, thread B. Let us say you have created another thread, thread C. So try to recall your days from operating system. Okay, processor, one single processor, multi-processors executing simultaneously in the multi-processing concept. So now we have one single program here. All these are the part of main one single program only. In one single program, we have created different threads. Give the feel when we say simultaneously, because it is in one process, one single process, this entire program will be एक process के अंदर ही entire program होगा. We give the feel of multiple execution, but actually we know that in one process at a time. When I was teaching operating system, I repeated it 1,000 times that in a process at a time only one execution happens. So how then why am I saying multiple execution? We give the feel, which is just like the way we say multi-processing. एक प्रोसेसर में अगर एक ही प्रोसेस हो रहा है तो हम कैसे मल्टीपल प्रोसेस बोल रहे हैं? हम प्रोसेसेस के बीच में स्विच करते रहते हैं without letting the user know. We are not stuck in one single program. Okay, so let us say here it needs to read from the keyboard. And it has already read from the keyboard. It needs to write to the program and it needs to print something. So while it is reading, we can switch from this thread to this thread. Okay, because while it is reading, we can perform the write function. So while it is performing the write, we can go to the print. Okay, so we can keep switching. That means we can just keep switching depending upon the type of event it has received. So this is how we execute. A multi-thread program by constantly switching between different threads. So what is a thread? A thread in Java are sub programs. अगर ये बड़ा प्रोग्राम है, ये thread is a sub program of a main application program. एक बड़ा सा main application program, छोटा छोटा हिस्सा होगा that will share the same memory space, क्योंकि एक ही प्रोग्राम, एक ही मेन RAM है, एक प्रोसेस है that share same memory space, not alag alag. In case multiprocess, each process shares different memory space. But in thread, because it belongs to the same program, it shares same memory space. So often the difference is asked between lightweight and heavyweight. Okay, so आप self study के लिए क्या कर सकते हो? You can study the difference between lightweight program versus heavyweight program. Okay, multi-thread versus multi-processing system, multi-thread versus multitasking system. So these are the similar concept wherein the difference is huge. Okay, so now with this one, is the concept of thread clear? Thread क्या है, multi-thread क्या है? Okay, I believe. Okay, girls. Anita. Okay, thank you everyone. So let's move to the next step of thread. Okay. So now, why are threads important? Okay. Prior to our multi-thread, the gaming world was very tasteless. जो games होते थे, जो cartoons होते थे, those were not as interesting as we have today. Okay, those games, those movies, those animated movies used to be some sort of, can say, tasteless or based on some static images, sort of धीरे धीरे changes हो रहे and all. But the idea of multi-thread brings more life to animation, cartoons, and your gaming world. How? When we say games, when humans write games, when we talk about robots, okay, robots, agar let us say you have designed a robot, okay, so it has two legs, it has two hands. So now, while the robot is moving this hand, if it is walking, it should also move this leg simultaneously. But in this particular robot, there is one big program that is executing, and we know that without thread, each line can execute one by one, one by one. We cannot have multiple lines being executed in one go. Okay, this is possible. This is not possible without threads. But in robots, we need to move this leg along with moving this hand. Similarly in cartoon, when I have Jerry, okay, running towards Tom, I have Jerry running towards Tom. This is mouse, this is cat. If there is a frame behind Jerry, and now it is moving this towards, Jerry is moving towards Tom, this frame, okay, ये picture जो पीछे था should move away from this frame. जैसे ये आगे भागेगा, ये फ्रेम को उस फ्रेम से निकलना पड़ेगा, हमारा जो टीवी की स्क्रीन है वहां से निकलना पड़ेगा. That means this is one part of the program that is executing, and also this is executing simultaneously. Okay, so now whether it is your PUBG game, okay, or whatever game you say, so if there is an army man in your game, okay, and there is an army man with a gun and it is shooting something and it brings down an enemy, then your score should go up here. That means while you're performing shooting here, your score is also getting updated. And if you are dead and if you have 3 lives, then your 1 life should go down. So that means this part subprogram, this subprogram, and this subprogram, these 3 subprograms must execute simultaneously. That is what makes all these applications interesting. Okay, so all these are possible only with multi-threads, because all these are single program. Here in this case, not two different programs are executing. Here also not two different programs are executing. Here also not two different programs are executing. Here one single program is executing, and different blocks of the programs are executing simultaneously. That we do with threads. When we declare something as thread, we have different parts of the program executing simultaneously in such types of applications. So if you have understood this, इसका application area, okay, that was thread, difference between multi-threads, multitasking, multiprocessing and all. And now this is the applications of thread. So if you are clear with all of this, write in the chat box. I will move to the next step. Understanding thread is very important, okay? That's why I'm again going slow with this topic. Is it clear, class? Why do we need threads? What are the various applications? Why is it so important? Okay. So now different programming languages has different way of implementing threads. Okay, अलग अलग प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में थ्रेड को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए तरीका अलग अलग है. But here we are to discuss about the threads in Java. Okay, so when I say threads in Java, you must remember a few things. Okay, first, the thread class, the inbuilt thread class, whichever subprogram. We know that Java is a module based program. We have different modules. How do we create different modules? By creating different classes. So now we can say each of this module as subprograms. Okay, so each of these subprograms, what is the multi-thread? Subprograms of a program. So you can make that part, we can make that part as thread by extending the thread class. So now you want to incorporate, there was a student in the past, might have heard about निशांत. ओके, निशांत थापा करके आपके एक सीनियर थे. उन्होंने एक यूनिवर्सिटी का कुछ हुआ कंपटीशन, रोबोट. उन्होंने उस रोबोट के movements control किया था, and he came and he told me one day कि ma'am, I have implemented Java का multi-thread like the way you taught in the classroom. Okay, and he was very happy about it. How he implemented multi-thread was he was simultaneously able to that robot was able to, I think, move upward as well as do some hand movement. वो गाड़ी based था, लेकिन उसमें कुछ और movements भी he was doing many things, and he did that with multi-threads. Okay, otherwise usually a car moves forward, and if it has to do something, it stops and it does. That means it is not able to do simultaneously. But what he did, the car was moving simultaneously, it was doing class, give me 1 minute. Hello. Okay, so in that case, his robotic vehicle was moving simultaneously. It had created or something. Okay, कुछ था वो move simultaneously कर रहा था. That you can do with multi-threads. Okay, so now when you want to incorporate multi-threads in your program, what should you do? What are the steps in Java? Okay, first you need to know about the thread class. Okay, आपको सबसे पहले तो ये थ्रेड क्लास के बारे में पता होना चाहिए. This thread class is there in your .lang package. So you need to know about this package. And next, now your thread has a life. Okay, your thread has a life, and the life of the thread starts with you create a class by extending thread. The next step is whatever operation you want to give to that thread, you explain that operation in a function named void run. whatever you want to execute with this thread, you put that part in this run method. इस run के अंदर you will put that operation, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to execute simultaneously. And remember that each thread, okay, so let us say if here you have created a class named A. So now your class A is a thread class because here you are extending the thread class, inbuilt thread class. So here you have called you'll have to call the run function to whatever you want to do. You'll put inside this. Whatever you will put outside of this run method will not be in the race of multiple execution. Whatever is inside of this run, okay, will only inside class K, inside run, whatever you write will be in the race of multiple execution. Whatever you write inside class A but outside of this run will not be in the race of multiple execution. It will be there in for your single line execution only. Okay, and then you create a thread. Okay, you create a thread by extending the thread class, and then you execute it by calling the run function. And then at the end you will have to start this thread. It is like you get into the cab. Okay, you get into the cab. To get this cab running, what do? You fuel it with petrol. You fuel it with your petrol. So that is your run function. So you have an inbuilt class. So you have a thread. If you want to go somewhere, you call the class vehicle, and then you need to, whatever operation you need to do in this car, you need to fuel it with petrol. So that is your run. And then to get it started, what do? You start it with your key. Say you start. So here to start it, you'll have to call the start method. You will have to call the start method. So these are the three things about thread. Doing thread in Java. First, call the thread class, call the run function, and then start the thread. These are the three things, okay, for creating a thread. Again, extend the thread class, okay, define a class that will run the thread, and then start the thread. Okay, is it clear? Till here, is it clear? Class, is it clear, the three steps? One more time, please. Okay. It's very simple to do threads, multi-threads in Java. Multi-thread करने के लिए you create a class, okay, class A, and then to make this sub program, एक पूरा program you'll have to write, okay, and you want to, if this is the sub program you want to execute simultaneously, you will extend the thread class here. आप thread class को extend करोगे. So this is your first step. So inside the thread class, whatever you want to do, now whichever part you want कि ये multiple execute हो, so that for that you will call the main run method. This is inbuilt run. You cannot change it. Small letter run. So inside of this, you will write all those lines of code which you want to execute simultaneously, or you want it to execute along with the other part of the code. Then you are done. So now this is one sub program which you have created as another thread inside your program. And then along with this, you can have many more classes here, If you want to create more threads, you could do a class B extends thread, void run, class C extends thread, void run, 3 threads, 4 threads, 5 threads, whatever number. If just one thread, then there's another class, let us say class sample, and it has only main function. How do you start this thread? You start this thread by okay, you'll have to start this thread by calling the new method. By calling the start function. You have to call the start function. Okay, so because it belongs to the class, we know that we have new a. This new a has the thread new a dot start. As of now, you forget this part. This I'll show you later, the exact syntax. You just need to know for now that first you extend the thread class, then you call the run function, and at the end you'll have to start this thread by calling the start method. So these are the 3 steps. Is it clear now, Rajesh? Okay. So now Java provides 2 ways to do multiple threads. Okay, Java does 2 ways to do multiple threads. Okay, so Java has 2 ways to do multiple threads. One is by the thread class itself, by just extend the thread class. It has various features. The other way is by implementing. Okay, there are 2 inbuilt classes in Java for doing multiple execution. One thread inbuilt class has been created, and the other runnable. Okay, this is your interface. Runnable. We have already learned about interface, so I'm not going to go into what is interface, how do we write interface based program, whether we extend or implement, you already know. So now, because it is an interface, runnable interface, because it's an interface, it's not a full-fledged class. It's a full-fledged class. It is a interface. If it's a full thread class, we can directly create an object of it. We know that. But because it's an interface, we know that we cannot create an object of it. So you have to create a class to execute this one. We know that we cannot create an object of an interface. So what we will do is, you'll have to create one more class that will extend the property, implement the property of this one. Then only you can make this thread execute. Okay, इसका एक छोटा सा program I'll show you, but all the theoretical differences between thread class and runnable thread interface, that you will, the theoretical difference. Okay, tabule exam के लिए table में बना के, the theoretical difference you will see what main functions it has, what main function it doesn't has, what is the huge difference between these two, where to use this and where to use this. Okay, so obviously because it's a class, it's heavy, it's an interface, it's light. But because it's a class, it's self-sufficient. Because it's run interface, it's not self-sufficient. We need a class to make it execute. Okay, but there are two ways. Class A extends thread, you can do, or class A implements runnable. Okay, if it's a class that you want to use, the name is thread, starts with capital T. If you want to use the interface, then it's the runnable with capital R. Okay, there are 2 ways to do multi-threads in program. Sorry, in Java. Is it clear? Is it clear here? I will show you the program for runnable interface. The theoretical difference you can see for both of the thread and runnable. I'll show you a program. Okay. So now next, before, okay, yes ma'am. Okay. So before we dig into program, let me explain to you one more concept about your thread. Okay, the theoretical things that we need to know. Okay, I've seen it been asked in various different exams. Okay, so now this we call it as life cycle of thread. Life cycle of thread. Now thread has various life cycles. Okay, actually let me bring it here. Thread has various life cycles. Okay, the first is, now the first is a newborn thread. Okay, a newborn thread. The sec the second is runnable state. We call it as newborn state. Like if you remember your operating system days, in a process also there are different states of process. Okay, ready queue, running queue, waiting queue, terminating. If you remember, these were the various states of your process. Similarly, there are different states or life cycle of a thread: newborn state, runnable state, running state, and then you have blocked state. Finally, you have dead state. If you remember, process, we had here new state, okay, running state, run state, interrupt state, and your terminate. Those were the, and the name of the diagram was your transition diagram. So again, I'll explain first what are these, and I'll show you the transition diagram. Okay, so what are the various states of our life cycle of a thread? A thread is just born, we call it as newborn. Okay, a thread has just been created, it is not yet scheduled for running, so we have newborn thread. Okay, so let me show you a newborn thread now. So I have here a newborn thread. A thread is just born. Okay, so after that I have a runnable state. I have the newborn, now I have the runnable state. Now what is the runnable state? That means now your thread is ready for execution. Your thread is now has been created. Okay, it is just born, extending the class, it has not born yet, but now in the runnable state your thread is now born and is now ready for execution. Now it is waiting for the availability of the process. For example, if you have two blocks of the same program, two sub programs waiting for keyboard. Okay, so let us say thread A gets the keyboard. Now thread B is still waiting for the keyboard. It is now created, it is now born, and it is now waiting for the availability of the keyboard. Okay, so then we have next the runnable. Okay, so let me write down here. I have here runnable. Okay, so I have here runnable state. Now next is your running state. I need to teach you these two together. Okay, because it could be either, both of this could be in either form. First we can have running, second we have runnable, because if it doesn't has to wait for anything, okay, if it doesn't has to wait for anything, it gets the results, then it will enter into running. Okay, so next is running. Running means that it has the processor now. Okay, means that the processor has been given and it has got the time of the process. That means the thread has got the process time and it's into execution. So I have here running now. Running. Okay, so now both of these states together are called as I have running and I have runnable. So whether the thread is in runnable state or running state, we call it as active thread. That means the thread is active. We call it as active thread. Whether it's running or runnable, the thread is active. When we have from newborn to running or runnable state, that means the thread has started. Start the thread. Okay, newborn, if it's entering into running or runnable, it means started. Whether it is in running or runnable, it is active. Okay, so now listen. When a thread is newborn, okay, when a thread is newborn, ये study these all these words that I'll be writing here, one word, these are the methods. ये start एक method होगा, as I told you earlier. Okay, so I will, because it's a state diagram, so I'll not be using a pair of parentheses, but all these states brings with itself a set of methods to do certain things with the thread. Okay, so when a newborn thread is there, how do you start it? As I told you earlier, you call the start method. Okay, so here I've given the term start. Okay, so now these threads are active threads. So this is not method, I'm just showing you the state. These are active, it's running, if it's runnable, it's active. Okay, so now when a newborn thread is there, you can either start the thread, or you have one more option. The thread is started, but right after you have started the thread, you want to kill it. The thread is started, but for some reason you want to kill the thread. Okay, we use the term dead. So in this case, after newborn, you can call the start method, or you can call the stop method. You can call the stop. Stop method, start method in Java will start the thread. Stop method in Java will kill the thread. Okay, will kill the thread. Listen carefully. Whatever questions you have, you unmute yourself and you ask me then and there, because it's a whole lot of details in one subtopic. So if you'll ask me to begin from the starting, I'll not be able to do so. So when a thread is in newborn state, there are two things we can do with the thread. Either we can start the thread or we can kill the thread. You can start by start method, you can kill by stop method. Okay, so if you have started the thread, instead of killing it, you can enter into two states. One is running, one is runnable. Okay, so if it's running thread, okay, if the thread is running thread, okay, this running thread can yield another thread. Okay, this thread can yield. This running thread can yield into your runnable phase. Okay, or you can run from the runnable, you can yield into running. Same yield. Up running say runnable. If you are executing, you want to wait for something, you enter into runnable. You are in runnable, you have got the resources, you go into running. So for that, we'll have to call the yield method. Okay, so that they can wait for some time. Okay, runnable say. So now after this one, after this step, what do we have is newborn state, running state, newborn state done, running state done, runnable state done. Okay, and then what do we have next? See here. Okay, ye तीनों done. Okay, so what is the next step? The blocked state. Okay, so let me explain here the blocked state. So now what is a block state? Okay, you can call a thread as block if it is stopped from entering into runnable state. Okay, or runnable or running, whatever it is. If your thread is being stopped into entering from running or runnable state, however, the thread is like, when can you stop it from running or runnable? Is like your thread is like in wait, it has called the wait method, or your thread is sleeping for some time. You have made that thread sleep for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, then, or you have suspended the thread. Okay, let us say there was a thread. The job of the thread was to search for a paragraph, the word apple. So you have the logic of the code. Whenever from the paragraph you find that word apple, you block that thread from executing. You block it. You do not want it to enter into running or enter into runnable. You suspend that thread. Okay, or you kill that thread. In such cases, we have the blocked state. Okay, so whether it is running, runnable, I have put it into one box. So from here you can enter into block state. Okay, or you have blocked it if it is sleeping for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds it will wake up. If it was waiting for something, okay, let us say it was waiting for thread B is there, thread B was waiting for thread A to complete. So after thread A completes, thread B will start. So it will have to resume the task. Okay, it will have to enter into now running or runnable. Okay, so from running to runnable to block, it can have three methods. Okay, from this state, active state, to block state. Okay, what are the methods that we can call? We can call the suspend method. Okay, we can make it this thread, running thread, we can suspend this thread and it will enter into block state. We can make this thread sleep, it will enter into block state. We can call the wait method, it will enter into block state. Okay, so while it is suspend, sleep, or waiting, how to start it? You have paused the thread. That means you have made it pause for one of these three reasons. Now you want to play it again. So in your remote, you want to play it again. You press the play button. So in thread, what is that play button? The play button is either resume function. If you will do the resume function, whatever thread you will mention after resume, that particular thread will resume, or notify. Again, with notify, you can ask that particular function to wake up, or we have one more, notify all. With notify, one particular thread that you will be mentioning in the parameter will get notified and wake up. Notify all, that means all the threads whatever were in the queue will get notified. Or okay, once it is in the block, it can either resume, or either can start, or it can enter into dead state. It can enter into block and then it can be dead forever by calling the stop method. Okay, by calling the stop method. Is it clear till here? Write in the chat box. Okay, so now next, so this was the life cycle of a thread. Okay, and the okay, sorry, I just cleared the, okay, so now this whole diagram. Okay, now in exam, if I give you the question, explain the life cycle of a thread with the help of a state transition diagram, that means you have to draw this diagram. So this diagram is called as state transition diagram of a thread, because the states are transiting from one phase to another. Okay, so it is called as a state transition diagram. Okay, so now each of these states, whether it is your newborn, running, runnable, blocked, dead, sorry. So now each of these states have their own scheduling diagram. Okay, like when a new thread is there, for example, I'll show you for your newborn. Okay, so you have a newborn thread here. Okay, so now in your newborn thread, you can enter into a runnable state, or you can enter into dead state. I already showed you, right? Runnable or running, whatever you would like to call. Okay, runnable or running. So if you, from newborn, if you want to enter into running runnable state, you call the start method. From newborn, you want to enter into dead, you want to you call. This is for your newborn. Okay, this is for your newborn. So now from the if you have between now clearing this part, now again for your runnable, okay, so that was for your newborn. So now in your runnable state, you have your running thread here, okay, you have your running thread, okay, and you have various runnable threads. You have various, let us say, runnable threads. Runnable threads, runnable. Running means the thread is currently in execution. Runnables means they are waiting for some loss. Okay. So now you can yield. You can go from run into runnable. I've already told you. Okay. You can go from running into runnable, or come from running to runnable से running आ सकते हो, running से runnable आ सकते हो with the yield method. Okay, so this we call it as relinquishing control using yield method. Okay, relinquishing control over yield method. Now in running state, this was for your runnable. So now in your running state, okay, so if I have a running thread here, okay, you can have a suspended thread. You can refer to your transition diagram. Okay, I've already shown this. This is one by one, showing one by one. That was in transition diagram. Okay, so from running, you can enter into suspended mode by calling the suspend function. Okay, by calling the suspend function. Now, if in between I have a runnable, and it's suspended, okay, if a thread was running, you suspend that running. It's not dead. Remember, suspend and dead is two different things. Okay, so it was running, you call the suspend method, it entered into suspended mode. From suspended, you want to enter your running. What function do you call? In resume function. Then it will resume from the suspended. With the help of diagram, various things that we can do with the threads in Java. Okay, so now I have here running again. I have runnable, suspended. What is one more thing that you can do? If you do not want to suspend it, however, you want it to slip for some time. You want your thread was running. Let us say this was your running thread A. Okay, so now this thread, let us say thread B, it has very thread B to restart. Otherwise it enter into hunger mode, let us say. Okay, so you do not want it to enter into hunger mode, thread B. So what you can do is you can make your running thread wait for some time by calling the sleep method. So sleep. So now sleep takes the parameters in the forms of millisecond. So if you want your thread to sleep for like 2 seconds, you write down 2000 here. So it is 2000 millisecond equals to 2 seconds. Okay. So like sleep, the right form or the right syntax is sleep t. It takes the time. You can enter your running thread into sleep mode. Okay, and then it will enter into suspended mode for some time. And after this, now what I'm going to write here is not the method. I'm just trying to show you. Now let us say now it is already 10 seconds. So after t seconds, okay, so after t seconds from the suspended mode, it will resume. Now we need not call resume if you have mentioned the sleep. In this case, agar suspend kiya to resume function you will have to call. If sleep, then the time we check. After t seconds, it will enter automatically into running mode. Okay, automatically into running mode. So now, next is your so now from the running, okay, you can also make your thread wait. You can also make your thread wait. Wait for anything, for resource, for something, for some other thread to complete its task, or wait for some time. Okay, if it's wait for some time, you can give wait 40 seconds, something like that. Okay, so then it will wait. If you are waiting for an event to occur, for example, let us say, mm, okay, so let us say that you have designed a form. Okay, so a web page, let us say web page, and the moment user opens that web page, there is certain location in that web page. When user goes to that page, let us say happy birthday tag comes out with some sparkling. Okay, so that thread, it was waiting, that was not there, right? So you waited for your mouse cursor to reach to that particular location. When it did, okay, when it did, the banner for happy birthday along with the crackers bursting behind comes in. So that we are waiting for an event to occur. Okay, so sleep is like you giving time. Wait is when we want some event to occur. Then we call the wait method. Okay, so after wait, it again enters into, now when it's waiting, we do not say it is suspended, we say it is waiting for that event to occur. Okay, it is waiting for that event to occur. After that event occurs,
Since
okay,
roaming
it
is
will
turned
enter
off,
into
you will have to
runnable.
turn on Wi-Fi
Okay,
and connect
so
to a
after
network
it
first.
occurs, what we have to do is, it will not enter automatically into runnable. You will have to notify it. Okay, so how do you notify? With the method notify. Okay, so this is it. So is it clear till here? Can we move to the program now? Various states, life cycle. If you are asked to explain life cycle of thread, okay, with the help of transition diagram, 10 marks. Then you will mention newborn, runnable, running, sleeping, waiting, 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 So class, is it clear now? Is it clear? So if you're asked in the exam for 10 marks, you'll have to draw the diagram, transition diagram, you'll have to mention all the states. This is called as relinquishing control diagram. That was called as your transition state diagram. Relinquishing means because from here we are moving to another state with the help of some methods. So we are passing on the control, relinquishing the control. Okay. So you'll have to explain with the help of this one. And in some competitive exams, what do they do is they give you some application. Let us say here submit button is there. Okay, submit button is there. Now it is waiting for some user event. So you'll be asked, okay, you'll be asked what method you will use for it to enter into the first page. You should know it is the notify button. or you should know it is the notify method in Java. Okay, so they don't ask questions directly, they ask questions with the help of some application area. Okay, so is it clear till here? यहाँ पे relinquishing diagram, state transition diagram, is it clear? If yes, I'll move to the example, a program for multi-thread. Thank you, Rajesh. Others? Okay, I need, okay, everyone. So now let's do one program then. Okay. Okay. So while I'm doing execute writing the program here, what I need you to do is I need you to write the program along with me. मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप वो प्रोग्राम मेरे साथ साथ रन करें. अगर या फिर आपसे नहीं होता है तो इट्स ओके, बट नोट डाउन दैट प्रोग्राम. ओके, याद देखो, अच्छे से लिखो वो प्रोग्राम. व्हाई? बिकॉज आफ्टर आई फिनिश एग्जीक्यूटिंग दैट writing this program, I'll tell you something. Okay, and that you'll have to execute and see it for yourself. Okay, and because of that there occurs a problem by multi-threading in Java, and to sort out that we have to take a step, and that step will be our next topic. So until and unless you do and observe what I will be telling you, you will not be able to understand why are we studying the next topic. क्या जरूरत थी उस चीज की, आपको समझ नहीं आएगा. Okay, so what you can do is either you can execute, or what you can do is don't execute. Okay, no problem. आप अभी फोकस करना चाहते हो, समझना चाहते हो मल्टी थ्रेडिंग प्रोग्राम को, करो, लेकिन बाद में इस प्रोग्राम को लिख के खुद एग्जीक्यूट करना हमारे नेक्स्ट लेक्चर से पहले, सो दैट नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में जब वो टॉपिक पढ़ाऊं आपको क्रिस्टल क्लियर हो जाए कि अच्छा क्यों जरूरत थी. ओके, सो लेट अस राइट दैट प्रोग्राम. So you import Java package, you import IO package, you import your lang package. Okay, so to save my place, or to save my space, I'm not importing the packages. Okay, I'm just directly digging into the program. So let's just create a class A. Okay, so now I want to create this sub program of my program as thread. So what do? I simply called the thread, extend the thread class. The moment I extend this thread class, now this block or this class or this sub program is ready to execute simultaneously along with the other part of the code. Okay, so now the moment I told you what is the first step, extend either the thread class or implement runnable or implement runnable. So for now, what are we going to do is we are going to do the thread class. Okay, so capital letter T, and then after that, which part of the code I want it to execute simultaneously. So for that, I need to call the main function, sorry, run function. Okay, I told you. Now I have public void run function. Okay, I have the run function. So let us open the for loop, make it do something. Let us say for I have integer I equals to 1, and I have, what is my I is less than, I is less than sign 10, and I've done my I plus plus. Okay, I've iterated my I from 1 to 10. That's clear to understand. So I have your system.out.println. Okay, so what do I have? from, so that use this statement only, okay, so that when you execute this program you will be able to understand whether the thread is a thread, other thread, which thread is it executing. So for you to understand which thread is currently executing, write this statement clearly so that it will be clear for you. Okay, so now from I have, let us say, thread A. Okay, so now from thread A I have, what do I have? From thread A I am printing I, let us say, let us decrease this value, so that I will not be long. Oh, I5. So let us say I am printing I. So from thread A, I will get 5 values, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, from thread A, 1. From thread B, 2. Okay, or what you can do is you can make it more clear. From thread A, okay, from thread A, what you can do, you can say this is your I, for loop I that is getting printed. Okay, for loop I that is getting printed. So now I have done here. Okay, so I can close my SOP. Let us write down when this thread uh, completes its execution. So let me print that one. Thread A completed. Okay, let me print thread A completed. Now I close this one. Okay, so let me copy it down and then with another color. Let me print. Okay, some color over. Okay, let it be. I think I shouldn't do it here. I should do it. Control Z. Let me put it in another box then. Okay, let me make some changes. Class B, J, J, D. From thread B, I'm executing J, and then print the value of J, thread B, completed. So what I have done here is, okay, so what I have done here is from class A, what we could have done interestingly is, okay, so let us say your I prints less than a simple number from 1 to 5. Okay, what does it, this for loop does is it prints, let us say, the multiple of 2. Thread B, it prints multiple of 2, and let us say I need to print number from 1 to 5. I need to print the multiplication table of 2 simultaneously along with this one. Okay, and I also need to print, let us say, I also need to print the multiple of class C and J, let us say K, K, K from thread C and printing K as the multiple of 3. Okay, so now thread C is complete. So what I'm doing here is the need of my program is I need to print the number from 1 to 5, multiplication table of 2, and the multiplication of table 3 simultaneously. I need these 3 different blocks of this one thing. You'll save this program as, I'll write that main function here, sample, you know that. Okay, so let us say you will save this program as sample. When you execute the sample function, if it was not thread, then according to the object that we execute, let us say अगर मैंने इसका object पहले बना के run को execute करवाया, then this will execute first. After it completes, then only the execution of this one will start. Then only the execution of this one will start. But now that will not happen in this case. Why? Because this sub program has been created as thread. This sub program has been made as thread. Again, this sub program has been made as thread. So this is a multi-thread program with 4 threads. 3 implicitly created threads and 1 inbuilt thread, that is your main function. So when when I write my main function here, okay, so I have here class sample public dot static dot void dot main, though we do not have dots, but I'm just writing it, string args. Okay, so I've opened the main function here. Okay, so now, because see here carefully, because now thread is a class, though it is an inbuilt, it is a class. How do we execute a class? By creating its instance object. And how do we create an object in Java? With the new keyword. Okay, so I write down here new. Okay, I write down here new a constructor, you know that, new a dot. How do I execute this run method? By calling the start function. I've already told. This is how we do it. Okay, the other way to do the same thing is thread a equals to new. Okay, thread a equals to new thread. You can do it like this. Okay, thread a equals to new thread, and then what you can do, a dot start. If you can do this single line, it will not give you any error, it will execute. But if you are finding it different, awkward, because you have not seen it so far, this is the way you have done it so far, you want to do it the traditional way, then you will have to write these 2 steps. First you create an object, then you start the thread this way. Or Java also supports, because it's an inbuilt one, so Java also directly supports this one. You can do it this way also. Okay, now listen carefully. The moment program starts executing, it reaches here, it will not wait for the rest of the code to execute, because it is a multi-threaded program. It will go to this new thread A here. I am audible, right? My network is not disconnected. Okay, so it's still connected. So now it goes to start here, because this is the first thread. If you would have done first start B, if you have started thread B first, then it would have gone here. Okay, so while B and C are not started, what it does is, by the time it sees new and start, it goes to your class A, it starts executing this one, while your B and C is waiting to get started. It is already in runnable and running mode. Okay, it will start printing. Okay, so now how I need to add one more text box here, because the code is not complete. Okay, so let us continue with the rest. So now, okay, so now I have started A. I need to start B. I do the same way. If you have any confusion, ask me now. It will be difficult for me to go back and explain the same thing again from the beginning. I'm starting the third thread. This is how we start. There are 2 ways. I've already shown you both the ways. Okay, now all the 3 threads are started. I've closed my sample class. End of the program. This multi-threading program has finished. We have finished writing this multi-threaded program. Okay, so now simple we created 3 threads to start. Till here it was only a newborn thread. Yahan tak it was only a newborn thread. The moment you call this start, okay, the moment you call the start, it enters into running and runnable mode. Okay, and by the time it finishes its execution, it will get killed. Okay, because it's complete. So by default, the stop method will be called in these cases. Okay, now first let me ask you, is it clear till here, so that I blow you the more interesting part. Is it clear till here? There's one more interesting part. Okay, actually I should have done it in notepad so that I could have executed it and showed you. तब दिमाग में आया नहीं, अब लेट हो गया. Other than Ram, is it not clear to others? Achha, clear till now. Okay, okay, clear till now. And others, Ram, Rajesh, सिर्फ राम और राजेश को समझ में आया, दूसरों को नहीं समझ में आया? Okay, thank you everyone. Okay, so before I okay, thank you. Before I utter the more interesting fact, tell me, आप लोगों ने क्या ये नोटपैड में या ये कोड लिखा या अभी तक सुन रहे थे? क्या आपने ये कोड लिखा अपने पार्ट में? Yes or no? Anyone who wrote this code in notepad or somewhere you can execute it right now? Copy में, अच्छा copy में, okay, not in copy, in your computer so that we can execute. मैं आपको बताती, आप थोड़ा अपने पार्ट में execute करके दिखा देते. I took a stupid step. I could have done it in notepad. Yes or no? Others, आपने लिखा ये notepad में? Please give me quick yes or no. No, ma'am. Acha, kisi ne taking a screenshot. Okay, okay then you, whatever I'm going to say, you just pay attention. Okay, अभी क्लास के बाद में एटलीस्ट एक चीज करके देखना, मैं जो बोल रही हूँ कि देखना, और मैंने जो बोला वो होता है या नहीं वो देखना. Okay, now these are threads. I told you that this will execute simultaneously, right? But now, because this codes, all of these are subprograms. This is subprogram, this is subprogram, this is subprogram, this is your main thread. This we call it as main thread. The moment you start main thread, the moment a.start is being seen, when a.start sees, obviously a will start first. A to up, every time you execute, it will start first. Okay? And then let us see that A has incremented to 1 and 2 while it was printing from thread from thread A value of I, that is 2, and then a value was I करके यहाँ पे assign होके 2 कर रहा था, print कर रहा था. The control may move to B or C. Why? Meantime your B was started or C was also started. तो while it was typing, obviously ये execute नहीं कर रहा, increment नहीं कर रहा जब ये type कर रहा है. First, step by step, how does it go? It assigns, it compares, it comes in here, it prints, it assigns, comes out, increments, compares, prints. There are 4-5 steps. Okay. So while one logic is going on, if the other thread is started, what can happen is while ये A2 print हो रहा था, B can start execution. So you may get output like this. From thread A, I1, from thread A, I2. By now, B started already. So it may come out, it may start thread B. Because now initialization is completed. While it is performing the initialization of value 3, it had already completed the initialization. So it goes to printing. While it is performing initialization, the printing resource is free. Okay. So from thread B, okay, J, 1 into 2, that is 2. ऐसे करके it can start execution. while it was initializing, it was printing, it was neither getting initialized not getting printed. So it was a different resource to invoke it. So invocation of this is completed. So now initialization done, it enters into comparison. Here printing is being done. So now initialization resource is free, so it may enter into initialization here. So every time you execute your program, this program, the output that you will get for a Java multi-threaded program will be different. First time you execute, let us say A runs for 2, A 1 2, let's say for 1, B 1, then C runs, C 3 6 9, then B 2 4, and then A 3 4 5, B completes, sorry, A completes, then we jump to C, then we jump to B, and then you complete all the thread. You want to execute the same program in the next round. What may happen is this A may go from 1 to 5, then B may run for 2 times, C may run for 3 times, B may run for 1 2 3 4. Every time you execute the program in different environment, different computer based resources, you will get different kinds of output. You run in your desktop, you will get different output. You run in some cloud, you will get different output. So that is why is that happening? Because till now we are not controlling. It is multiple execution. So we are not controlling execution here. So depending upon which resource is free, what is the configuration of your computer, we are just getting the output. Okay, हमें output मिल रहा है जब जैसे, and if you now you are getting same output every time. So what you do, you open 10 different applications and then you run this program, you'll get one output. You close all that 10 application, now resources are free or occupied in different ways, so execute this program, you'll get different output. Why? Because we are not controlling the flow. So sometimes this, because of such things, we have what positive is, we have achieved the multi-threading concept. But when we talk about application, we always want, every time that cartoon is being played, we always want Jerry to run after Tom, and your that frame from that picture that I drew before, I want it to go from left to right hand side. But next time, if the frame runs the other way, Tom runs the other way, it won't do. It won't serve our purpose. Okay, so to control that flow, we'll have to synchronize. We'll have to synchronize this thread. Okay, so that synchronization of threads and all will be the next part. Okay, so as of now till here, whatever I have told, is it clear to you all? Okay. Other than RAM, only RAM responds promptly. Okay. 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 Others? Okay. So now let us explore a few. Now I'll just write down here only, okay? Because I cannot edit this program. ये edit नहीं कर सकती हूँ. So I'm going to use this brush and show you a few more methods that can be done in Java. Okay. So now the topic would be using thread methods. Here I'm just trying to show you. I've already explained multi-threads. Okay, everything related to multi-threads. But here we have not used any methods of thread. These are the run and start. It is by default. You have to use it. Without this, your program will not be a multi-threaded program. Okay. But what are the, like stop, I said sleep, I said yield, I said wait. Okay. So all that we'll see a few. एक दो देखते हैं. Okay. I'll teach you. I'll show you one, two, three, one or two or three of them. You can explore the rest on your own. Okay. I'll do in this program only. So what I can do is I have this program. Okay. I've written your for loop here. Okay. So this for loop is going from 1 to 5. Okay. So this for loop is going from 1 to 5. And what I want to do is here in this part. Okay. In this part, what I do is I'm going to write it here. Okay. Otherwise it will make the code dirty. So now in this here, what I'm going is to do. Okay. So what I do is, if you will run this code, what do I get? I get from one for thread A. Okay, for thread A, I get from 1 to 5. Okay, I get from 1 to 5 for thread A. Okay, so now what I can do here is, let us use, no, you have to put the condition. Okay, have to put the condition. What is the condition? The condition is if okay, so this is here. Okay, so if my I is equals to 3, if my I is equals to 3, what I want to do is I want to yield. YIELD. I want to yield. That means, okay, that means the moment my I equals to 3, even if it could still keep the resource, I want to relinquish the control. That means after I equals to 3, I want to take a break. Okay, I want to take a break and give chance to some other thread, whichever is ready. So after 3, even if B and C are not ready, it will not continue to print. It will, let us say, I1, 2 printed, 3, it finds 3. Till then, B and C has not been started, but still it will not print 3. The moment I equals to 3 reaches, it will relinquish the control. It will wait for other thread to start, and if they are already started, then they will give chance to other thread to continue their task. And once either of them will get their chance, get their values printed or whatever they wanted to do, once they are done with that, then only it will continue printing 3, 4, 5. Yield means give the control or chance for now. It doesn't mean dead. It means for now, I want to take rest. I want to give chance to others. So if you will put here, if I equals to some condition, you'll put yield, then that for that particular condition, it will give the control to the other one. Okay. So now, let us try something here now. So now again, your for loop is executing. So let me put something here. Let me put here, if it is a multiple of 2, if j is equals to, okay, if j is equals to 3 again, let me do 3 only. So j is 1, j is 2, j is 3. Okay, so now if j is equal to 3, what I want this thread to stop. That means I don't want it to continue now. I don't want it to continue with 4 and 5. I want it to stop and kill the thread. So the multiplication will only print for 2, 4, 6. It will not continue for here 8 and 10. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, यहाँ जब 3 हो जाएगा, whatever it was to do, it will do. Then after, it will be killed. Okay, I want it to stop. समझ नहीं आ रहा है तो मुझे वहीं पे रुक के वहीं पे पूछो मुझे, otherwise it will be difficult for me to go back and explain everything again. Okay, So now let's try with this one. Okay, now for here, if k equals to 3, k is equals to 3, okay, sleep for, let us say, 2 seconds. Now after k is equals to 3, it will sleep for 2 seconds. You can see, you can increase this value, you make it as 10,000, and what you can see is 10 seconds you will be able to observe. 10 सेकेंड तो काफी लंबा टाइम होता है, तो आप अब छोटा रखोगे ये, तो while it gets executed you will not be able to observe. Okay, आप ऑब्जर्व नहीं कर पाओगे, थोड़ा स्लीप रखो, like 10,000. It is whatever is before that gets printed, it will take a pause of 10 seconds. It is sleeping. 10 सेकंड के बाद, 10 सेकंड is a long time for you to be able to observe. Okay, so only after 10 seconds it will print the whatever is the next value, and that will only happen if k is equals to 3. But for every k being incremented, if you want to sleep, then you don't put the if, directly put the sleep. Okay, but in many computers and many times this sleep gives some exception. Okay, कुछ exception होता है, generate हो जाता है. So in that case, you already have studied try catch block. What you can do is try sleep को try block में डाल दो. Okay, if it generates any exception, किसी के कंप्यूटर में होगा, किसी के में नहीं होगा. ओके, वो डिपेंड करता है कौन सा वर्जन है, आपने अपना जावा अपडेट किया है या नहीं, ऑटोमेटिक हैंडलिंग एंड ऑल. ओके, if you get exception or error, you put the sleep in try block, and after this you write the catch and catch all the exception possible. You already know how to do this. So these are different examples. Sleep, stop, yield. There are more. There are more. I'll give you few more methods. Those methods you can try your own. Okay, आप खुद से उसको try कर सकते हो. Okay, do you have the capability to should we stop here or can I continue? She won't stop. Okay, others stop. Okay, so I'll stop, but before I stop, I give you, obviously these are the two that you have to execute, but you will not execute for numbers here. Numbers to what you will do is, with one thread print small letter alphabets A to Z. Another thread you will print big letter alphabets Z. Three threads to do 3 tasks. That you should to do build or escape. Okay, so this is inter-thread communication. Communication, I've showed methods. So you will do more inter-thread communication. Inter-thread communication. Obviously the 3 that I showed, you will all obviously have to do. पहले plain ये करोगे, फिर इसी में आप you will do what all I showed. Wait, I don't know, wait नहीं, wait, you will do wait, you will do notify, you will do notify, you will do wait, and you will do notify all. These are the 3 inter-thread communication that you will do on your own. Okay, 3 I've shown, 3 you will do. So 2 aims, actually 4. want to execute 2 that I've given that I've written here, then you will update it with this value, and then for this one you will do this 3. Okay, so is it clear? If it's clear, you may leave the classroom. If you have any queries, you may stay back and ask your queries. Thank you, Rajesh. And yes, thank you for like joining to 2 p.m. class. Okay, morning मैं काफ़ी टाइम से ले नहीं पा रही थी, तो थैंक यू फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, कोऑपरेटिंग एंड पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन द क्लास. थैंक यू राजेश. I think everyone's gone. Okay.